This is the 2002 BMW 330 Ci, also known as the E46 generation. Now these cars were made from 1999 to 2005 in North America. So we actually bought this car in December 2019. I'll put a link to the video of our old video that we did, so you all see how the car looked when we got it. But yeah, this is how it looks now. It's been 2 years. We're gonna go over the car in general at first, and then at the end of the video, I'll go over how it was owning this car for 2 years. And in January 2022 of this year, actually, it was in an accident, but it's still here, still looks pretty good. Let's go over the car. All right, so looking at the side of the vehicle, as you can see, this is the convertible model, and the convertible model is actually longer than the sedan and the coupe model. So in my opinion, I think the convertible model actually looks the best just because it's slightly longer. It gives it a nice look on the sides here. The convertible is soft top, but you can get a hard top on these. And one of the nice things about the E46 is everything is painted. The side skirts, everything is painted. There's no plastic pieces that you have to worry about on the sides, which is really nice. And I also really like the antenna here. It gives it that little classic look. It looks really nice. So looking at the wheels here, these are 17-inch wheels, and this is the M version of the wheels. So this does have the sport package, and I really like the way these look. Look at the front of the car, you have the headlights. These are actually self-leveling Xenon headlights. We'll take a look at them later. They're pretty cool. Considering this is a 2002 car, that's pretty nice. You have your grills here. These are real, not like the new BMWs where it's fake. And then down here, we have our fog lights. We have this little plastic trim piece here. And on ours specific model, the paint's kind of peeling off on the bottom of the bumper. That's probably the only bad part about our car. Everything else is pretty good, but the paint is coming off there. And then of course we got that BMW classic license plate. It looks really nice. So look at the mirrors. Now the E46 is a highly configurable car, but in the US we don't have the automatic folding mirrors. So you have to manually fold them with your hand. You can retrofit the auto folding mirrors. I wanted to do it in the future, but they're pretty hard to find. But yeah, that's something to know. You can fold these, so it's gonna be kind of hard at first. But don't worry, you're not going to break them. They can be folded if they're manual. The Europe models have the auto folding mirrors, and I believe you can retrofit them. So looking at the back, we have a glass window. So my E36 was my very first car, and it had a plastic window, and the window was discolored after like 10, 15 years. But this one, still looks brand new because it's glass, and I really like that. Now looking down here, the sedan models, you'll notice that some of them are orange here, but on the convertible models, these are actually clear. And I think the clear ones look really nice. And then a few things that our car has, there's a backup camera here. That's not OEM. We'll go over the mods we've done to this car later. Other than that, so you have your chrome exhaust tips. These are very notorious for falling off. You can't buy them. I had to buy one of them to put it back. It looks way better when they're attached. It looks kind of weird with them out. But next, let's take a look at the trunk. All right, so looking at the trunk, so the first thing you'll notice in the trunk is this little care package slot right here. So you open this up and there'll be a bunch of tools inside. As you can see, these are all the tools that are available, and our model doesn't have the warning triangle. I know the European models have it, but for some reason ours doesn't have it. It's possible that the North American cars just don't have it, because normally I don't see any North American cars with that. But yeah, looking at the trunk here, so this is my wife's car, so let me take out all these grocery bags. This right here is the wind deflector carrying case. We'll go over that in a little bit once we put the convertible top down. But yeah, with those out of the way, now you can see the trunk. As you can see, it's a small trunk. There's not too much space, especially the height here. But speaking of height, this right here is pretty cool. So my E36 did not have this, so I'm really happy that they improved this on the E46. But basically, you pull this handle and you push in, and now you have more space. You have a lot more space than before. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if this is up, your convertible top cannot go down. It actually says it right here. So make sure that if your convertible top is not working, make sure this is actually down like this. Then your convertible top will work, because the top actually stores in here. Now, next thing is on the left and right sides, we have like these little plastic pieces. You can put stuff on them. There's one over here and one over there. And then this carpet piece actually pulls up. You just lift this up, and there's a spare tire under here. So this does have a spare tire. Now, if we look in the back over there, as you can see, there's a subwoofer. This car has the premium audio by Harman Kardon. So if you don't have premium audio, you're not going to have that. But at the same time, you can actually open this. So if you do this, you can actually open it. And by opening it, it's now a ski pass. So for those of you who go skiing, you can actually put skis in this car still, which is pretty cool. All right, so next we're gonna go inside the car, but before we do, let's put the convertible top down just so it's easier to see the interior of the car. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go inside and put the top down. You'll get to see the top down sequence real quick just to see how it is. All right, so to put the top down, you have these two buttons here, top up, top down. You just press this and then the windows are gonna go down. All right, so as you can see, the top is going down. That lifts up, and I'll show you all how we put the wind deflector into actually right now, once the top's done. All right, so once it's locked in like that, so the windows will automatically go up, and then what you do is, I just like to put them down. All right, so let's come inside the car and then show y'all how the inside looks. All right, so the top is down right now. So as you can see, this is how the car looks with the top down. Now, it looks pretty nice, honestly. I really like the way these cars look with the top down. The only unfortunate thing about this is I have some sun damage here. Actually, that's from the previous owner. We got this from the previous owner. So one thing you want to do is coat all the headrests, this top part and everything with some type of protectant. We actually have ours coated right now, but we can't undo damage from the previous owner. But yeah, this is how it looks with the top down. So let's go ahead and come inside the car. All right, so this car does not have comfort access, and as far as I know, the 2002 model does not have that as an option. So anyways, let's open this up. So this car has the premium package and the sport package. All right, so this is how the door looks here. So we have our little plastic piece right here. We have our speaker here, and then this is our leather piece here. This is our leather piece here. This whole part right here is leather. And then we have our plastic again. We also have this gloss wood trim on ours. All right, so this is the seat. All right, so right here we have the button to make the seat go forward and back. This right here is to do this so people can sit into the back. All right, so this is the seat. This is how it looks. These are the sport seats. They're in okay condition. All right, so this is the leg rest, and you can do this to put it in and out for your legs, which is pretty cool. All right, so we have the buttons down here. This is the lumbar support. So you can do this for the lumbar. We have forward, back, you can go up, you can go down. Now, you can also do this. That puts just the bottom part of the seat up and down. So there's actually multiple controls here. It's not just two controls, it's actually three-way. And then here, so the headrest goes up, and it can also go down. It's powered, which is pretty cool. And then right here is for the seats here, so you can go forward and back. So lots of seat controls. And then here we have 3 seat memory, which is really good. All right, so over here we have our headlight stuff. So this is automatic. I leave it on automatic the whole time, never change it. It works perfectly fine. This is off, parking lights and headlights, so automatic's good. This is the brightness of the instrument cluster and the lights in general in the car, so you can lower and increase them. And then this is the fog light, so you can turn the fog lights on and off. All right, so this is the instrument cluster, so I'm just gonna turn it on here real quick so you can see. So we have our mileage here. It'll show up in a second, as you can see. 113,000, not bad. So over here we have brake, the seatbelt, and a bunch of other things. If you have any problem with your car, there will be icons over here. And then this one, it shows you like when your door is open. So if I open my door, as you can see, it shows that the door is open. So yeah, most of the problems are gonna come here. Your lights that say something's wrong with the car. Here you have your miles per gallon, range, and all the other stuff there. And then your gear selector is here. All right, so this is the steering wheel. Now, this is the M Sport steering wheel. And you probably will notice that we have this, this is a wheel skins leather cover that my wife stitched this into this. I'll put a link in the description where you can get this. But these are really nice because the steering wheel under this was kind of fading, and we like the extra thickness that it adds, so it's really nice. So we have your horn. Here you have your volume. And then here is the voice. With this one, you can change your songs. And then here we have our cruise control. You have the on, off, and then these are the increase speed, decrease speed. Overall, the steering wheel is very comfortable, especially with this cover here. And then over here we have our stocks. You can go up and down, left to right, of course. On this side are the wipers. Now this is a BC stock button here. And basically what it does, so the BC stock button, you just press it, you can see different things like your average miles per hour, the time, temperature outside, miles per gallon, your range. And to reset any of these, you just hold down the button and it will reset it. So that's pretty cool. All right, so this is our dash. As you can see, it's in black in every car. And then in the back, whatever color the interior is, that's what color that part will be. And then over here, we have our plastic wood trim piece right here. All right, so up here we have our vents, and just like most BMWs, you'll probably know if you have one, is you push up for the heat, down for the cool. So if you have the heater on and it's not warm, it's probably on cool, so just remember that. Now over here, this is not OEM, but these cars do have a GPS navigational unit. There's two different models. One has like a small screen here with a cassette, and then this is the one that looks like the more premium model. So this right here is the Avant 4, and I'm running Android 10 on mine. I flash custom firmware. I'll put a link to my videos in the description about all this, to where to get it and everything, and y'all can take a look at that. So it has wireless CarPlay, which is pretty cool. And then we have our backup camera, so I put it in reverse. We have the backup camera. So yeah, if y'all want to do that mod, I'll put a link in the description to my videos on how to do that. But down here we have our AC unit, so this is how it looks. This unit is normally up here, and there's normally a cassette player or a CD player up here. They're normally all up here. So this was mounted down here, this bracket, and then these USB ports that you see here. They're not original, but again, if you follow my video, you'll be able to get all this yourself. But it's a really nice improvement. If you have an E46 and you plan on keeping it, I really recommend getting a head unit like this with the backup camera and this USB bracket here. So it's pretty cool. Next off, over here we have our gear selector. So as you can see, we have the standard, park, drive, and then over here we have our Steptronics, so you can shift up and down manually if you want. Pretty cool. Now, one thing unique to the E36 and E46, I don't remember on the E90 honestly, is the window switches are all here. So you have the driver's side, the rear driver's side, passenger side, rear passenger side, and then this one does all of them. So I really like this setup. And then over here we have our hazard light. This is our unlock and lock button. We have our cup holders here. And actually we have a little, this is pretty cool. I have a little coin tray here, so you can put your coins, and then a little pouch here. This one, you just press this button and you have a little spot here. I really want to modify this actually and try to make it into a wireless charger. That'd be pretty cool. Maybe in the future if I can figure something out. But yeah, that's that. And we have an armrest. It's also leather. In the back, this is the ashtray. Unfortunately, a common problem is these disintegrate to the little plastic piece. So the cover that goes up to close it is gone. It's not worth replacing that piece because it's so expensive. But I did replace this piece. That's why it looks really fresh. Yeah. And then of course we have our e-brake right here. Over here we do have our glove box, so it can be locked and unlocked using your key. And then the space is, it's okay, it's decent. You can hold a cool amount of stuff. We actually still have the original BMW documents from the original owners. So up here we have the mirror with the classic BMW clown light. This normally flashes red when the car is armed. It has to have the security system for it to flash red. You do have your garage opener buttons here. Up here we have our lights, so this is the main light, and then we have left reading right and right reading light. So here we have our visors. They're pretty small. You have your little, wow, this is very tough. I need to clean this probably. But yeah, you have your little mirror here, and then these do go like this. They don't extend. That's unfortunate, but yeah. That's that. All right, so to get to the back seats, like I mentioned earlier, you just push this like this, and now you just sit in the back. Now, there isn't that much room in the back, to be honest. It's unfortunate, but this is a convertible, so it's to be expected. So technically, this is a four-seater car. You're not allowed to sit in the middle. There's no seatbelt for the middle. And even if you sit in the middle, let me show you what happens. Yeah, you just, first of all, it's super uncomfortable. Second of all, you're pretty high, so if the top is actually closed, your head's gonna hit the top most likely. It's four-seater. The sedan model is 5 seats, so that one does have a seat belt. Next off over here, we have our seat belts, and then over here we have our little armrest, and we have speakers. So there's 2 speakers here. This has a premium sound, so there's 2 speakers in the back. And then these holes here, I'll show you in a second what those are for. They're for the wind deflector. So right here, you can put your seat belts into these little slits right here like this. And this is to prevent them from flapping around when you're on the freeway and the top is down. They move a lot. So this makes a huge difference. So secure yours if no one's in the back. But what I want to show y'all is the ski pass. So you just do this like that. And this piece just comes right out. So now your ski pass is open. and you can put your skis inside. So that's pretty cool. And then of course, to get out the car, you just, from the back, you can actually grab this, push it forwards, assuming no one's in the front seat, and then you get out. My phone fell out, so make sure if you're in your friend's car, your phone doesn't fall out. But yeah, that's that. So next, I want to show y'all the wind deflector. So there's a trunk button down there that I probably didn't show you guys earlier. It pops open the trunk. All right, so this is the wind deflector, and what it does is basically it blocks the wind basically from the back of the car. A lot of people will probably be like, it probably doesn't make that much of a difference, but trust me, this makes a huge difference. If there's any ladies in the car, you're gonna want this because otherwise their hair is gonna go everywhere. Ask me how I know. Basically, you just open it up like this, and then you open it up like this. The way it attaches is you just push this down like this, and then it attaches. There's actually a little lever here to do that, so use the lever, it's much easier. Don't make life hard like I am. And then this one, again, you just push this down, attach it, and then there you go. It's ready to go. So now, in order to put it into the car, you have to lift the boot here. So I'm gonna lift the boot real quick. All right, so you're just gonna lift up the boot just enough to, I mean, that's more than enough. So what happens is, you're gonna grab this, and basically you're gonna stick this into the hole. So there's a hole over there that I stick it into, and then there's a hole right here that I stick it into like this. And then these little things rest like that, and then it's not gonna go anywhere. Now you just put the boot down. So let's put the boot down, and I'll show you all how it locks into place. All right, so this now cannot come out because it's held in by the boot. So you can decide to put the wind deflector up, or you can leave it down. While the wind deflector is in the car, you now have a two-seater. But again, as you saw, it doesn't take that long to put it in, and then you can store it in the trunk. All right, so next let's take a look at the engine bay. So the lever's down here. So you have this thing that comes out. You just lift it up like this. All right, so this is the engine bay. As you can see, ours is pretty dirty, but that's fine. I'll clean it later. So this is a straight 6 engine. The 330 Ci has a 6-cylinder engine. The 325 has a, I think it also actually has a 6-cylinder. I'll put the specs in the screen. I believe they were all 6 besides the 318 and 316. Those are 4-cylinder. But the 325 is also 6-cylinder, but the problem with that one is it has less power. So this one has 225 horsepower. So there is 2 models that are faster than this one. There is the 330i ZHP, which has 235 horsepower, it has 10 more horsepower. And then of course the M3 has 333 horsepower. This is like the fastest non-specialized model. In terms of reliability, this engine is actually very reliable. I've owned this engine at least 4 times. So the main problem that you get with these engines is the cooling system. And we actually had that happen on this one during our ownership. When I was driving to work one day, the coolant light came on and I was leaking coolant. The cooling system is the most critical thing to replace on these cars. If the previous owner does not have any records of anything that was replaced in the cooling system recently, I would replace it. So what we did in here is we replaced the water pump, the thermostat, the expansion tank with the cap. We also replaced the belts, and we replaced the hoses, and I believe the temperature sensor. The only thing we didn't replace is the radiator, and normally you should replace that one too, but ours was still pretty good, so we decided it wasn't, really worth replacing it. But yeah, all that cost, I want to say around $800-900 total. But by doing that, this car has been rock solid. We've had no issues. We've taken it to Yosemite, we've taken it to LA. No problems at all, no overheating, no nothing. So that's the main thing on these cars is the cooling system. So definitely make sure if you're buying any of the E46 generations that you either do it or it was done before. But other than that, it's reliable. Stick the key in, start the engine, starts right up. All right, so now let's go for a drive. So this one obviously has a backup camera. Oh, fun fact, some of these cars actually have PDC. So if you're lucky, you can find the cars with the PDC. Unfortunately, this one doesn't have it, and putting the PDC system on the convertible is a little bit harder than the other cars. But yeah, I really wish we had PDC because that would really just complete this car. It would basically have almost everything modern cars have. It has wireless CarPlay, Android Auto, and all that stuff. All right, so this is the 330 Ci. So I'm gonna put the windows up because there's probably lots of wind noise. So first of all, I wanna say that this car sounds pretty good. It's completely stock. There's no mods at all, no tunes, no nothing, but it really sounds good, especially when you have the top down, you can hear the engine, and I really love the way it sounds. The acceleration is okay. Obviously, if you've seen my other videos, I'm used to much faster cars, but 225 horsepower is still better than, you know, like a Honda Civic, Toyota Camry, Subaru, Impreza, whatever. All right, so this BMW has direct steering, so you can literally, the steering is connected to the wheels, right? It's not electronic like the newer cars. So when you turn, everything is basically directly hooked up. So it's very smooth the way it feels. And you really feel connected to the car. The newer BMWs just don't feel the same, although they're pretty close. You'll understand if you ever drive one of these older BMWs. All right, so right now, I'm driving on the freeway ramp, and the windows are up and the wind deflector is up. So we're going like 70 miles an hour right now. And the wind noise is not that bad, especially on the freeway. So I highly recommend getting a wind deflector if you have a convertible. If you don't mind a bunch of wind noise in the cabin and a bunch of air just flowing through, then you don't really need it. But it really makes the ride a lot quieter, and it's easier to hear your music if you're playing music. But yeah, when I'm in the highway, I have the windows down. I just have the wind deflector up because I like having everything, you know, open. But since the wife's in the car, we're gonna keep them up so her hair doesn't go everywhere. Oh, interestingly, there's an E46 right in front of us, so that's the sedan model. Interestingly, you can actually see on that one that there's a plastic trim on the rear bumper. The convertible doesn't have that. Speaking of the convertible, when you have the top closed and you're driving, it literally sounds like a bus. You know how like a bus makes all that noise? Like the windows and everything just creaking and stuff? You kind of get that with this car. So if you get a convertible and you have the soft top closed, it's gonna sound like a bus when you drive. Now, I don't have the hard top, and I really wish I did. They're insanely rare to find, especially in the matching color. But I think if you have the hard top, it doesn't sound like that. But again, just one thing to keep in mind if you have a convertible model. Alright, looking at the self-leveling Xenon lights, as you can see when you turn the car on, the lights will self-level, and this is how they look. One thing I forgot to mention is the 2004 model is the LCI, so they changed the headlights a bit, and it's the newer model. Honestly, I prefer the older model, but it's self-preference. You can look up more pictures online, but that's just something that I did want to mention. All right, so before we go into the conclusion, let's talk about price. So we bought this in December 2019. We got it for around $4,000, and I want to say after taxes and everything else, it was around $4,500. We'll just say $4,500 is our cost for this car. Now, over the span of 2 years, we have done quite a bit of things to it, but not everything is essential, such as the Avent 4 head unit and the backup camera. I want to say it was around $550 for everything, for that whole package. And I installed everything myself, so there was no cost there. The other thing that we did to the car is the brakes. We replaced the discs, the pads, and the sensor. I want to say the brakes were around $330, something like that. But yeah, the brakes were replaced. And then, like I said earlier, the cooling system was around $800-900. And besides that, the only thing maintenance-wise that we really did to this car was oil changes. Now, I did get the first oil change when we first bought the car from the BMW dealer. I think it was like $120. The reason I did that is because they give you a free inspection, and from there, whatever they list, we normally just say, okay, we'll get it fixed next time, and then fix it ourselves, of course. So luckily, this car didn't need too much. The only other thing we did have to replace is the battery. The battery on this car was 10 years old. I was very surprised it lasted that long. And it was a non-BMW OEM battery. So we bought an OEM BMW battery. The convertible models have a vent hole that you have to connect to the battery. So keep that in mind. The coupe and the sedans don't need that. But besides that, the only other things I did was I got the new cup holders. Besides that, you know, detailed it. We did two-step and ceramic coating ourselves. So that's kind of why it looks kind of shiny-ish, because it's ceramic coated. And the other thing that happened in January 2022 is a car accident. So this car was originally in an accident. They fixed the car. It was like an $1,800 fix or something like that. They replaced the wheel on the passenger side, the front turn signal on the passenger side, and did an alignment. It's funny because we went to Mike's Auto Body in Concord, California. That's where our insurance sent us. We didn't really have a choice. Funny thing about that is they're not even called that no more. They just changed their name. But they fixed the car. I took it home, and the day I drove it, I noticed the airbag light was off, or it was on still. So I had to take it back. They removed the airbag light, drove it home, and noticed my carpets were gone. That was a whole nother deal. But basically, it turned out that the car, when I drove it on the freeway, was shaking a lot. And we went back to the place, and they didn't want to fix it. And our insurance actually sent us both checks accidentally, ours and the body shop's checks. And they wouldn't answer our calls until they finally found out that we had the check. And we told them, you got to fix the car, otherwise you're not getting your check. So what happened was they made a new bill that was $8,000, or it was like $7,000. So the total bill was $9,000, and they wanted to tow the car. So we ended up salvaging it. We ended up getting around $8,000 something for it. So it's almost free basically at this point for us. And the fix for everything, our BMW mechanic is gonna do it for like $300 to fix the strut. We haven't actually done that yet, but we have all the parts. But anyways, that is a little story about 2022 that happened. But the car is still here. We plan to keep it until it basically dies. We are gonna order a BMW i4 M50, so stay tuned for that. But anyways, other than that mess, the car's been reliable. It's a very cost-effective car. Do not pay $10,000 for one of these cars. I know the market's really crazy right now. That's a lot of money. I mean, unless you find like a really, really clean 330 or 330 ZHP that has really good interior, really highly maintained, all the maintenance records and everything, then by all means. Because when we bought this, we have all the records for this car too. But again, there's that. Overall, this car is very nice to drive. You really get to experience the BMW from 2002, how they really feel. They feel really nice to drive. The direct steering is really good. And you can find them for a pretty decent price. The prices are starting to come down again, so just keep an eye on it and you'll find it. I spent 3 weeks straight looking for this car, and I finally found it, messaged the seller, and we got it. So anyways, if you have any comments or questions on this car, let me know in the comments below, and I'll try and answer them for you. Hit that thanks button if you can to show some support, and be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Hopefully we'll order the i4 M50 together in the live stream. We'll see.